charges of genocide right now happening on this Sunday, the killing of Christians and those helpless Yazidis. Can any of this be stopped? John Bolton is the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Fox News contributor, and senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, who joins us every Sunday about this time. Ambassador, we have those sickening and shocking reports of Christian children being beheaded, their heads put on sticks in a park in Mosul by these barbaric Islamic terrorists, and that they even are burying women and children alive. Why did it get to this unspeakable point? And can the Obama administration do anything to end it?
Well, I think we can end it effectively. I think if the president were to declare that our objective is not the limited objectives Doug McKelway just described, but the destruction of ISIS, which is a strategic threat to the United States and its allies, not just in Iraq, but in Western Europe and here at home as well, we could remove the threat. But why it has taken this long, I think the president has not adequately explained. Look, we knew ISIS had reached into Iraq as far back as December when they took, if only briefly, Fallujah and Ramadi. And they captured Mosul, the biggest city in that part of Iraq, over 2 months ago, sending hundreds of thousands of Christians fleeing as refugees. Now we have the Yazidis and others. This has been building a long time, and I think the president's been asleep at the switch.
Well, you mentioned Mosul. That was captured by ISIS June 10th. 2 months ago today. And the president, through the past few months, has said that, he didn't want to be seen as helping al-Maliki if he ordered American airstrikes. Does that hold any water? And what should happen now?
Well, he's held contradictory positions. For a while, he was saying no U.S. assistance unless a true pan-national government is formed in Baghdad. That's not going to happen, and I certainly don't think we ought to do anything militarily that helps al-Maliki because he's effectively a tool of the Ayatollahs in Tehran. But the Kurds, the Peshmerga, have been without ammunition or adequate equipment. They've been pleading for over 2 months for American help and are only just getting it now. The tribal militias of the Sunni tribes in northwest Iraq, even some former Baathists, I think, have been fighting against ISIS. I think they're willing to do more. And obviously we have the Syrian opposition inside Syria. Look, if ISIS can establish a state, if it can control territory across that Syrian-Iraqi border, what it's doing to the Christians and Yazidis and maybe to the Kurds right there in the area is simply a precursor of what it's prepared to do around the world. This is a group that's even more radical than al-Qaeda. It puts the lie to the whole argument that we've heard these past several years that terrorism is on the road to being finished. This war goes on right now. The main front is in Iraq and Syria, and we are losing.
Talk about losing. I mean, there are reports that ISIS, they put those marks, those red marks on doors of Christians, ordering them to pay the tax, convert or die. And meanwhile, I've got the Kurds who, we protected for years with a no-fly zone. Should we do more? There's a look at that mark that is apparently used by ISIS when they mark. It's like the Nazis.
This is absolutely... It's absolutely chilling, and we just have a Reuters report today that it's being announced that over 500 Yazidi women have been killed. This is only going to get much, much worse. We had a model of how to provide at least humanitarian assistance after the first Persian Gulf War. The Bush administration, the George H.W. Bush administration, got Resolution 688 authorizing the coalition to use military force to defend the Kurds against Saddam Hussein. We ought to be trying to do the same again today, and we ought to be assembling an international coalition to help us. But as far as I can tell, the administration's on vacation.
Well, there doesn't seem to be that international coalition. The French foreign minister is there. And finally, Ambassador, ISIS has these threats. They issued that tape. They want to see, as they say, the flag of Allah raised over the White House. And I remember back in 2001, in April or May, at the United Nations, there was a group saying the very same thing. It is now 13 years later. Just a few months after that, 13 years ago, we had 9/11. They're not stopping.
They're not. The war on terror is not over. Osama bin Laden may be dead, but the terrorist threat today, as even the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, said earlier this year, is at least as great as it was before 9/11. I think ISIS's rise these past several months demonstrates it's more dangerous than it was before 9/11.
Ambassador John Bolton, we always appreciate your insight and analysis on these chilling issues that we are facing sadly today. Thank you again,
Thank you, Eric.
as always.